Guys, how are you? So let's start a new session. मैं इधर आपको C पढ़ाऊँगा and you will able to learn a lot of new concepts about C. And if you are even new to this channel, you can like, hit subscribe. So let me first start my introduction with a guitar tune. So I'm playing the E minor chord. Let's put it aside because ये अभी पूरा ट्यून नहीं है, कुछ भी हो रखा है. I just put it out and started playing the tune. So what is a C language? Let's see now first. So C is a general programming language. I think it's a very basic language everybody should know and should start with first. Like it's anything you can start with Java also, but like C is also popular language, and if you can do C, then you can do any other or object-oriented programming language. So let's get started with C. So it's it's a really a low language. It can directly interact with the computer, like your system. So you can learn about C and who created the C on any website. So let's get started. So I will refer to this website. This is CFAQs, and I think that this is very important website and everybody should know the important question about it. So I would like to thank to Steve Summit for this website. And now let's start with the first session. So like how the session will be going on, I will do the introductory sessions on these questions, and this will be my first video which will contain around 35 questions. And in the next video I will do the next chapter. Like the next chapter is, let's see, what is that? Structure, union and enumeration. So we'll do this, and in the fourth session we will do expressions, pointers and pointers. So this will how the video will proceed on, and the session will be going on. So like this is the first session, declaration and initializations. So for this you just need any text editor. I'm using Sublime text editor, and you just need a compiler. So I have this C++ GCC compiler, and let me check its version. So it's GCC version, I guess. It's here. Oh my god, what is this? Let me exit. GCC-V. So yeah, this is the version 9.2.0. So it's cool and good. We can start with this. So I am writing on the code on a C++ compiler. So I don't think that there are much differences, and if there are some differences, I will tell you the differences that occurs in C and C++. So let's get started. The first question is, how should I decide which integer type to use? Okay. So I guess from here, yeah. So like how can someone decide which integer type he or she must use? So for this, I guess we need to know about the ranges of the data types. So these are the basic data types which are available in C language. One is char, short, int, long, and yeah, boolean also. So the range for the char is like -127 to +127, and so it contains 255 different values, set of values. For the short, the range is this, and it contains this values. So in C++ or in C, we can find out the range, or let's suppose the size it has, and what is the minimum value and the maximum value of integer, long and double. So for that, okay, so I am using C out here, but as I'm saying, like we are using C++, we are using C, I guess, yeah. So we are using C, so I should use printf, but that's okay. So for the minimum range, we have this variable int minimum. So this is a global scope variable defined in C, so we can use it anywhere, and we can compile it and run it. So this is the minimum value of an integer we would get here. So let me run it. So yeah, you can see this value, and this is same as this integer value. So like the here, okay, so this value, so it should match over here. I have used the minimum value. So what the difference is here? They are using the different compiler. Like here the size of integer is 16 bits, but I'm using the compiler which has the size of 32 bits. So if you will do some maths, my integer size is 32 bits. So, and every bit will go from 0 to 31. So how many different combinations are possible? So that is one left shift to the power 31, that is, so this, and minus 1 because we are using 0 also. So like it's power of 2 to the power 31. So this is a function which is same as this. So we are using this, so that's why we have a 32-bit system, and that's why we are getting this higher value, this value. And they are using the compiler which has 16 bits reserved for integers, so that's why they are getting this value. Like if I will do one left shift 16, so like 15 minus 1, so I will get that value, and everything with minus over here. Okay, so cool. So this is the minimum value and 16-bit compiler. 16-bit compiler. Okay, cool. So this is how we decide the size of the data type and which data type to use. So if we have the long data type, if the integer, let's suppose in the C language we have integer range up to, like I said, we could use it to 199 or int max. So which I showed you, like int min is this and int max is, and like this one here subtraction and then plus. So if so this is int max, and if the range occur of the variable size is more than this, and by size I mean the value is more than this, so I will use the long. Long has around, we can see the size of long also, and so that is long max. Long max. So I will try to use backslash n. I will tell you the more about it in differentiation. So long max is also of the same size. So like you can look at this, and the long is, I guess, you can do in Java with 1e12. So like 1e12 size. For the int max, for long max, we have the size around 1e18, or it's like 64. So 64 bits are reserved for this. So now the space or the different combination we can form out of here is there are 63 combinations including 0 and the minus 1, as we are including 0. So this is the maximum value, max value of long. Okay, cool. So this is how we decide the data types and which data type we have to use, and if we have 0 or 1 value, we just directly use bool. So it have only the 0 or 1 value in it. Cool. Now so let's go back and look at the second question. Why aren't the sizes of the standard types are precisely defined? Okay, why aren't the sizes of standard types precisely designed? So through C is considered relatively low language and high level language go. Okay, it does take the position that exact size of object in the wet implementation. So I don't think why it's a necessary question. I think let's go back and we get the next question. So since C doesn't define size exactly, I have been using type defs like int64, int32. I can then define the type defs to be int, short, long, depending on what machine I'm using. Then that should solve everything, right? So let's look at it. So truly you need to control over exact types and the right approach you are using. That's exactly true. A type def like 16 or int32 accomplish nothing. It's intending to at least the specified type already. So like there are more different types also, like we could have in 32 size. So like this is also an integer data type, and we can use like integer value here. So like let's suppose 67, so and we can print it. So this is also the size. We can depict our variable or store our variable and print that. So like there are so many sizes. For C++, I will guide to you data type size. Microsoft blog, I guess. So here's the Microsoft log. Yeah, data type ranges and the different type of data types we are available in C++. So this int, and long. These are the basic types, and then we have some other types, unsigned, signed, yeah, long, vchar, and so like you can look at this from this website also, but these are not available in C language. These are available in C++ language with 32 and 64-bit compilers. Okay, so now let's move forward. So I guess we have done the three questions. What should the 64-bit type of a machine that can support it? Okay, the C99 standard specify that type long as effective being at 64 bits. Okay, so as I said also, like long has the size of 64 bits. Let me close this. Like it has 64 bits, so we can store up to I had said like 2 to the power 63 minus 1 bits in it. Different combination it's in it with 64 bits. Okay, so on the other hand, it's also appropriate to implement type short as 16, 32. So like we can also do the types as short, long, short int, long int, and so these are the different types, and so it's saying about that only. So what's wrong with this declaration? Okay, what's wrong with this declaration? So I don't think there is anything wrong with this declaration. This will perfect fine, like p1 is a pointer here and p2 is a simply a character variable. So yeah, there won't be any difference here. Let me try to run it also. So like p1 is a variable here, so I should use malloc and then 1 into size of char. Okay, so I just said like I won't use printfs, I will use this p1 size and p1 equals to start p1 equals to let's suppose and start invalid conversion. Why this is invalid? Because malloc returns a pointer which is void star, so I need to typecast into char star before using it. So let's do that and run it. So if I will print p star p, so like it's the address, the referencing address of this, so it's a, so that's why. So there is no error in this declaration. I can also use like b here, yeah, so and this is b, and so like this is b2 variable, so there won't be any difference, like this declaration is properly correct. Just the difference is p1 is a pointer and p2 is a variable of type characters. See, there is no difference. Okay, so let's move to the next question. Let me open the complete question list, I guess. All questions, yeah. Okay, so like I will be looking at this. I'm trying to declare a pointer and allocate some space for it, but it's not working. What's wrong with this code? Okay, so the code wrong is like typecast is not done over here. So as the malloc returns the universal pointer, or I guess the void star pointer. So let us look at universal pointer also. Universal pointers. Yeah, definitely in C. Universal pointer are actually void type, void star type. Okay, so that's why this returns a universal pointer. Void star is generally called a universal pointer or a generic pointer. So we have to typecast that. So before using that, I have to typecast to a char star. So as I had, let me show you. Okay, so what's the difference here? I have to typecast this. Okay, so now this code will work perfectly fine. Okay, so I guess here the size, here this should be also p and this is 10. Okay, here the size will be allocated 10, which is a wastage of space also, as the char takes the size 1. So all we could do is like we are allocating a type space of 10, and now we could allocate some string into it, I guess, if I'm not wrong. Okay, convert it to a string. No, we can't allocate a string. Okay, is a C++ concept, like string in C is a const char star. So that's why we are getting that error. No problem, but here we have to allocate char star just to type reference. Okay, and if just that, okay. The next question is, what is the best way to declare and define global variables and functions? Best way to define a global variable is never use hash defines, always use const char star. Okay, now const int and just the value it has, like it has 100, so just use the const char star. Never use hash defines because it will every time replace the statement with, and the hash defines it always every time replace the statement with the variable we are using, and so it increases the load at a compiler and the compile time. So we shouldn't do that for these global variables. Yeah. Okay, so what is the difference between extern? So first of all, I would like to tell you about, like, there is a difference between definition, declaration, and initialization. Okay, so don't mind the spelling mistakes, but the declaration is the first thing which we should do. Then we have definition of that, and then we have initialization. So at the time of declaration, no space is allocated in the memory. Okay, so as we know, we have a program, the space should be allocated in the memory. So at the time of declaration, no space is allocated. So for that, we have extern keyword in the C or C++. Yeah. So I would say one thing, like every possible the function in C or keywords in C are available in the global scope in C++. So okay, so if I will do this, so no space will be allocated, but yeah, we have a variable, but the space is not allocated in the C in the program. Okay, so if I will use to do cout I, so it will give me an error. See, it's giving me an error that okay, so it won't run because undefined reference to I. Okay, so we have undefined reference because I is just declared. It's not defined anywhere. The space is not created and we are using it. So how to deal with that? So let's do I is equals to 5. And now the space is created for that and we can use it. Let me check. Let me make it global. This is declaration. Okay. What I'm using now. Okay, I guess it should work now. Let me try to print it. What's the issue here? Let me print it here. Try to use now. Okay. I don't know what was happened. External keyword. For global, the definition is declared to allocate the space. Provide initialization value if the function is defined a declaration that provides, for example, this. Oh man, what I just did was, yes, so this was this. I didn't use this. Yeah, now this will work fine. See, we are getting fine. So it's just a declaration, and like the space is not allocated, and it's the definition, and also the initialization, or we can say this is the definition. And what's the initialization then? So initialization is equals to 5 or any value or I equals to 10. So this is the initialization. So this is how the declaration, definition, and initialization work. So for a function, we can do extern f. Suppose this. So this is the declaration of a function. So what's the definition in the function? So like this is the definition in the function. We can also declare it here. So definition of a function. So it's like this. So this is the definition of a function. So if it's taking an integer argument, so we will use int x, and let's suppose it's returning a variable x. So this is the definition of a function. So yeah, so like this how it's happening. Actually, the external keyword is optional in declaration. See this. Okay, we'll see that. So preprocessor tricks, like what is the preprocessor? So hash defines are the preprocessors. Let's look at that. So hash defines, yeah, hash includes hash and def, if def. Okay. So preprocessor is not a part of the compiler, but it's separate steps in the compilation. So like how the program runs. So first we have the preprocessing, then we have the compilation, then we have a linking, then converting to a machine code, and then running of a program. This is how the program runs. So in simple, the C processor is just a text substitution. Oh my God, that was too loud. Okay, so do preprocessing in the C++, just a text summarization. Let's look at this. So this is a pre-processing step where the max array length in the code will be replaced with value 20. So this is how it happens. So, but we shouldn't do this for the integers. We should use constant because that's really saves a lot of space. Okay, now let's move to different question. I guess we are done with this. Yeah, how to implement an opaque abstract class. Abstract data type in C. C question 2.4. Okay, so like this is our different language question. We'll see it later. Different part question. I haven't introduced you with that. So the next question is how I can make a sort of semi-global variable that is one of the private to a few functions separate spread across a few source files. Okay. So yes, you can't do this in C. It's possible, impossible, or inconvenient to put all the functions in the same source files. There are two usual solutions. Okay. So what is a source file? So source file is like the CPP file in C++ or .c file in C. And what is a header file? Like .h files is a header file or the implementation file, not the implementation where I just like a files. We can include that. We should not do the implementation in header files. We always use or should use implementation at the source file. Okay, so you can't do this. Semi-global variables. Pick a unique prefix of the names of all the function and global in a library or a package related to the routines, and on package not to define. Use a name beginning with the underscore. Okay, like this is something different. We'll look at later. But I think it's not defined in C, and that's true also. Do all the declaration of the static of the same static function or a static have to include the storage class static. The language. Okay, so do the declaration of the static function or a variable have to include the storage class static. So what is a static? So static is a storage class in C. Yeah, we'll see that. Static in C. Okay, so the language standard does not quite requires this. Okay, but the rules are intricate. Okay, and slightly different to the object type. Therefore, this static is several static appears consistently definition and declaration. Let's see what are the statics. So static is a keyword used in C programming. It can be used with both local variables and function. That is, we can declare a static variable and a static function as well. An ordinary variable is limited to the scope is defined, while the scope of the static variable is throughout the program. So this is the thing we have to notice. So let's suppose if I am declaring static here and in type, let's suppose we are given a value 0 static, again should be there. And now every time I'm calling, I am incrementing the value 1. So what I would see here, if I will call this function f, and does it taking any argument? Let's suppose we don't need any argument here. Okay. So every time I call this function, let's suppose cmp. So cout, not cout, like it's the end of program, so returns it. So what happens here? The static has a lifetime or the scope. Yes, it's the scope of a variable is throughout the program till the end of its execution. So let's see here. So every time I will run it, I will see the change in the values. Okay, but it's not returning anything. We should use void type for returning the value. Let's run it. Okay, so like see, ones, 2 and 3. So this is acting like a global, but it's not global. Its scope is limited to the function f, and its execution is, and its lifetime is till the execution or till the end of the program. So as we can see, its scope is only limited to this. We can't use cout I here because it's not even declared as it's equals to that. It's not even declared here, so it's not possible. So its scope is only this, and its execution is till the end of the program, like lifetime is till the end of the program. So this is what I have to tell about the static, I guess. This is enough. Static local variables, static member functions. The member functions are also static. Okay. Print function. So this is the counter example I had shown you. Static function, like declaring a static type over here. Difference between static and a global, I had told you the lifetime of the program or the scope of the program. The scope of the program is the difference. The memory of a static variable is allocated within a static variable, so the memory will not get allocated at different times, so it will remain the same. So that's why the value is increasing every time. We are not creating a different variable I here, so it's just a one variable I which is created in the memory, and we are using that one throughout the program, but the scope will remain the same as the local block, or we had seen the function we had seen. Okay, so if you want to allocate any value, it will be initialized to 0. So this is what we have to keep in mind. So if I will run it like this, the value will be 1, 2, 3 because it's initialized to 0. So this is the rule of static variable. Accessed by another source file, that's okay. So now I will move to the next question. What does extern mean in a function declaration? So extern int f extern is significantly only the data declaration. In function declaration, it can be used as style. Okay, so like it's a stylish hint to indicate that function definition is probably in another source file, but there is no formal difference between this and this because they both are the declaration. Not the definition, just the declaration. Look at my words, what I'm saying. Let me close this. What does auto keyword good for? So like nothing, it's archaic. Okay, I don't think it's useful. Yeah, it's not useful, but auto keyword in C++ is very useful. Auto is default storage class with a variable declared inside a function. So let's see. So there are the storage specifier auto. So its storage class is stack, and its initial value is the garbage, and scope is within the block and till the end of the block. So, let's look auto I, auto I, and let's look at cout I. So what value we get? True or not? Oh, sorry. I have declared it also. There is no initialize. That was a warning, I guess. So we are getting 0. But okay, so I have to declare it with a variable. So what is this happening? We are using C++ compiler, so that's why it's giving me that error. So what we should use is like, if I will use this, so the type of cout Yes, it's a compiler specific. Type. Yeah, this is type ID, I guess. Type ID dot. What is this? I don't know. What is this type ID? This is interesting. It's not giving me anything. Okay, but it's a type string, so I don't know how to show the type of. This is nothing. WC type. Maybe this the type it's showing as 0. Okay, and if I will use 10, I don't know what's this valid conversion or start doing. Okay, because there was something like type of, it's not clear in the scope. I don't know. So what is this? It's type ID in C++, and we have to do dot name also. Yeah, so it will tell the name we are having. So let's run it. So it's showing us I or I, which is of type integer. So let's suppose I have this. So now it should show me double. So it's double. If I will having some string, you see. So it will show me. What is this? I don't know what is PKC. Let's search. Manage name or const star. Okay, so const star are used with PKC. Like P is the encoding for pointer, K refers to const, and C means the char. Okay, so like this is PKC. And I also told you like string or const char star C. That's why it should be PKC. Pointer, and the K is referring as constant and C is the character. Pointer constant character. So let's check if the video is going well. Yeah, video is going well. So now I will move to the next question. What is the difference between type def or hash define or user define? So like these both are the macros. Type defs are preferred in parts because they can correctly encode pointer types. Okay, for example, this declaration. So type def char star string, then hash define string d. So like anything we can use, but we prefer type def because they can correctly encode pointer types. Okay, cool. This is only what we have to remember here. I can't say define a linked list successfully. I tried this, but the compiler gave me error. Can't structure in single takes a while to research. So it should give an error in sequence. Let me try to run it. So that's not what is this? I didn't made a not pointer. This is going now and it should work. It's not complete. This is not video. Extreme start. shit. So this can't be done. Like this is the name of the structure, and we are using the same. Now this is perfect, but we can't have the same name declared here and not here. So this will give me an error definitely. So we have to declare, give a name, and this is needed, and we can use some different names like the class name or the structure name can't be used here. So this is what we have to see here. Next is how can I define a pair of mutually referential structures. I tried this type abstract this, so mutually referential structure. Okay, so like the object of this structure is using here, object of this structure is using here. Let's see if it's compiling or not. Yes, I can do this. Let me try to compile. PPTR is not declared in the scope. Definitely it won't be declared in the scope as we are not giving it declaration here. So the problem lies not in the structure, the pointer, but in the type test. First, the two structures define the link pointers. Okay, so yeah, definitely we have to use something like this, the definition or the declaration of it. This will work now. Issues are like I'm not giving any name. I don't know. This is and we should declare PPTR. So for declaration of this structure PPTR, that's cool. And PPTR has incomplete type PPTR. Why? Occasionally it's necessary to proceed with complete with the empty declaration. Yeah, that's required. After declaration, the two structure using tags. Okay, this is something new. I also haven't seen. But if I don't do all of this, but if I do not declare clean, then it won't compile it's compiling. The compiler can accept the field declaration struct p1 but in the structure, but has not declared struct p. Okay. Occasionally it is necessary to proceed with the declaration, so that's why we should use this declaration. Try declaring the two statements tags separately. Alternatively, you can define the tags. So that's why we should define the tags. But what's the problem here is we are not giving any name. I don't know if it's correct. So that's also right. We can put the name here also. But if we are using this also, so we should define should use like this, like declaring their name. Instead of declaring their name, we should use the pointers and declare that. So I don't think it would work. Yeah, that's why it shouldn't work. Like, can't use the class name. We should declare their pointer names. So this is a cool thing. We should use their pointer names so that we can compile that. This is interesting. So the next question is, what the difference between two declarations? So there is nothing difference. Both of these are same. Both of these are same. So both will combine. Both will run exactly the same. The first declaration is a structure tag. The second is a type def. The main difference between the second declaration is slightly more abstract type. Its users don't necessarily know the type of structure. The keyword structure is not used when declaring its type. So like structure declared with tag on the other hand must be defined with this. So it's not specifically for C++, it's just specifically for C. In C++ we don't need struct type. We can definitely then directly use this way. Okay, so there's no difference. And but it's saying if we are using type def, so we should not use this. We can use this, but if it's defined as struct, we should use struct here. So that's a better C. But this type def and this will do me. So it will tell it's a function pointer. As we can see, it's a function pointer. That's for a pointer or function which is taking no arguments but returning a type integer. So it's the definition. It can be used to declare one or more pointers function. So both are like this. So how can I show you this? Yeah. Okay. We don't need an exact bracket. The function pointer, its type is pointer. Okay. Like because we are not returning here, so that's why we are putting pointer. And so this is the concept of function pointer. C or C++, the both are in the same. So So the next question is question 16, I guess. 18. So I got the declaration of type this. So these are the declaration, not definition, not initialization. So these are the declaration. While space turning out constant instead of the characters pointed to. So so this is the basic rule. So here we have the const. So that means the it's pointing to is a constant, not the. So we can specifically say the address is not constant here. Address can be changed, but the value it points to should be constant. So let's look. Give you an idea about it. So if I will so here, what is this like the address is? Yeah, so I'm back. Okay, so it should be a string. Zero, so yeah, you can see. But what if we are using constant? Duplicate const. const values initializer and array dimension as in this. Oh, so this is perfectly fine. We can use that. Read only. So it's perfectly fine in C++. Let me show you. We can do that. And see compiling easily also. But there's a problem. See, the const qualifier really means read only an object. So qualified is a runtime object which cannot normally be assigned to the value of a const. Qualified object is therefore not const expression in the full C in the terms and cannot be used in the array dimension case labels. C is unlike C++ in this regard, yeah, when used truly true compiler and then constant preprocessors or perhaps okay. So this is because of read only variables. That's why we can't do that. In C it's read only variables. What is the difference between so I just show you the difference between this cat star p. So it was my previous question only. I just showed all you in this 18 question. So I will now go to the 20th question. What does it mean for a function parameter to be constant? What does to const in this mean? So the first const means that okay, so like the data is constant and the next means the pointer is constant. So this is what it means. But if we use this, so it means the integer is constant. We can't use to const here. Okay. Let me show you also. So what does it mean here? So like the data is pointer is constant, data is constant, and here the pointer is also constant. Okay. So both constant and data is data and pointer is constant here. In the 21st question, how do I construct declaration of the complicated type such as array of and pointers to function returning, pointers to function returning pointers to char, or figure out similarity duplication means? So the first question can be answered in these three ways. How can I construct declaration of complicated types such as array of and pointers? Okay, so for n pointers, yeah, we can do definitely do that, and its type will be char star. And but the declaration up incrementally, we can use this. Okay, yeah, this is cool. We use this. This is also cool. We know how to do that, and use the syntax program. This is something that will turns English into C and vice versa. Okay. That's cool. We could use this. We know. Yeah, this is cool. We know most of this. How do I declare a function that returns a pointer to a function of the same type? Okay, I'm building a state machine in which one function for each state returns a pointer to the function, but I can't find a way to declare the function. Okay, so I have to declare a function that has a pointer of the same type as its return type. So you can't go into it directly. One way is having a function of a generic pointer. Yeah, we can do it by class and declaring that beforehand, and then another way is like using this type def and then again using this function pointer in this. So now we can do this like generic function pointer. We have made this, and then the pointer to a function using this. So and we call it taking its parameter like this. So this is how we can do that. Easy and simple thing. Can I declare a local array or parameter size of a size matching a past in array set by another parameter? So set by another parameter. You can see this. Until recently you can't array dimension is you traditionally had a compile time constants, okay? Yeah, that's constants. And another thing they have mentioned here, it's not always easy. One of the ways to this, yeah, we can pass it like this with the rows and the columns, because we definitely have to do that, because the columns and the rows, if we don't bound to that, then the array will reach out of the memory cell. So we can't do that. I have an external array which is defined in one file and then another file. So this is file 1, this is file 2. What does the size of work in file 2.c? So yeah, per I guess it will give me error because in file 2 it just declared not defined. External specified size incomplete. You cannot apply size. Yeah, that's why it will give me error. But here it will give me the size of 3 because it contains 3 elements. Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. Cool. So how many questions left? The compiler is complaining about invalid declaration of function, but define it once and call it once. So yeah, this is an functions which are called without declaration. It's called perhaps because the first call proceed with the function definition. Oh yeah, this is like it's just a declaration, and we should define it also, otherwise it will give you an error. Cool thing. What's the right declaration for main? Void main, correct? Yeah, it's correct. But in C++ it will give you an error. Yeah, so this is correct. Okay, so like these are the command line argument which you can pass. You can be written, the parameter can be declared this. Okay, so we'll see that later. But the main thing is we can do that void main or main and the passing the arguments which is used for the command lines. My compiler is comparing this main function called f, which looks fine to me. Let me see. Compile, so these are the same things, but here we have a float and we should declare a float here. Okay, so these are the declaration I can. It's the two sides, yeah, that's why I'm saying these are the two things. We shouldn't do this. Oh, I don't know what I did. Should like go back again. Now I have the next question is, and getting strange syntax error on the first declaration and a file, but it looks fine to me. Perhaps there is missing semicolon. Could be missing semicolon. My compiler isn't letting me declare a big. So this is probably due to the size of the array is 256 into 256. So the total size in the array is 256 into 256. So here is a 16-bit compiler that would probably overflow. So that's why it will give you that error. It's this size, so So which identifiers are safe to use depends on you, like which are you using. So use the proper labels, tag structure, names, unions. So that's why you can think and get which identifiers are safe for you. What I'm allowed to assume about the initial value of a variable and the array, which are not explicitly initialized. If global variable start out 0, yeah. Global variable always starts at 0. That would enough to a pointer, and the pointers are not initialized. Uninitialized static, yeah, static variables are also initialized to 0, but the pointers are not initialized to 0 or the null. They are pointing to anything because they are declared on the heap. They are pointing on a heap, yeah, declare on the heap and pointing to any Cartesian. So you have to declare that. The code straight out of the book isn't compiling. Okay, it should compile. Why it's not compiling? The first thing is automatic events. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's also a problem. See. Copy that. Read only memory. Is this legal? Yeah, definitely it's legal. I guess. Or it's legal. It's legal. That's properly legal. Okay, cool. So cool. Remember the tips I am giving you. Can I initialize unions? See. So what are unions? So they are the same structure, but the difference is only the size. Union takes the maximum data type size. And initializer or now. So initialize. Okay. In the absence of. So I guess I should walk you through this structure and union initialization. Let's see that CPU reference. This is a good sign. Okay. It's taking a bit. So union like this. So this is the initialization of it. Nested initialization is like example, and there is another structure. You also done, and the example we have union. Yeah, we could also do that. So all the other data types, as I told you earlier, 8, 16, 32 bits respectively. So like this has 8 bits, 16, 32, and 64 bits. Faster signed data integer type. So like these are the data types which we have to look. Before assigning. Use the unsigned and there's a signed value least fast. You can definitely look at it. So that's all for it. Now I should stop the video for this whole chapter 1. If you have any doubt or comment, you can just comment out the video. At us, go to the video and hit the like and subscribe it. Thank you. Show your support.